Hello, everybody, and welcome to TechKnowledgy. You, our technologists, the apologists of technology, are the next generation of thinkers. I'm your host, JP, and this is today's good old guest, Linnix. Say hello, Linnix.
Heyo, guys. This is our first episode of Technology, where we will help you put the knowledge in technology.
Indeed, amazing. Now, our goal with this technology podcast is to explain and cover these four concepts in general, sometimes five. We're going to cover the concept of A, V, L, S, and B. Now, for those of you who are not super fluent in production, those terms can be broken down into a few things. Would you like to tell them what that is, Linnix?
Absolutely. Those terms mean audio, video, lighting, setup, and broadcast. All
That's
very
quite a lot.
key, important aspects of main production. Or like
production in general.
Technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Just production as an overview in general. It's quite a lot. And with all that being said, I think we can hop right into this episode.
Of course, let's get to it.
There really is so much equipment, software, and just applications in general to cover. And because of that, me and Linnix here, we want to make sure that we can cover them all so that you guys can get an in-depth understanding of all this technology in general. We want to take you from a basic level to an advanced level so that you can produce events or create a studio or just in general rig whatever setup with equipment that you would like. Because
I don't think
of
we'll be able
that,
to cover all of it though, because honestly, there is a lot.
There is a lot. I mean, we're talking about production here. It's a never-ending expansion of technology.
And 64 channels for one board, like.
Yes, soundboards. We will get into that eventually, and that will be fun eventually. So if you guys have any specific requests, whether it be how to rig a soundboard, how to set up a microphone studio, how to use OBS, for example, or anything of that sort, let us know. Put us down in the requests in the comments. And if you enjoy the show, don't forget to subscribe. And you can check us out on all of our platforms. We're available on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, heck, even Apple Podcasts.
Of course.
Now, I know that's a lot for the first start of a couple minutes. So I think it's best we start simple. Since this is
we gotta start strong.
That's true, we do. We need to start strong, very strong. Since this is our first episode, we're going to introduce ourselves so that at least you can get an understanding of who I am and who Linnix is just in general, who we are, what some of our favorite projects that we've worked on, and just in general what some of our hobbies are. So I'll go first to give Linnix some time to actually, come up with some stuff.
I need to think about that.
Yes, absolutely. It's quite a lot. So my name is JP. I'm currently interning for production. That's my main job as of now. And I'm a full-time student. I'm in high school and college currently. I tend to work in the topics that we're going to cover, whether it's AVL, SB, audio, video, lighting, setup, and broadcast, just in general. I am overall the campus troubleshooter, you could say. Anybody has a tech problem, they come to me, and I do my best to fix it. I work with many different softwares in general, and I'm currently learning on mastering a few of them. Different things, such as programming even. I mean, just in general, there is quite a lot that I work with in general. So I would say when answering what my favorite project is, and I'm going to give two answers. The first one I'm going to give is going to cover stuff that's, technology related, because obviously, I love technology. I literally work with it on a, almost daily basis. I would say my favorite project, tech-based, is going to be revamping and programming like our booth from scratch. That was a fun process. I mean, I remember I got to take a snake directly under a stage. It was a very dusty stage, but it was awesome. And
miniature back rooms.
Yeah, pretty much a miniature back rooms. That's exactly right. I basically fell under the stage, and all I had was a light. It was very dusty, and here's the funny thing. I was wearing all black. Okay, I was wearing all black.
I bet you came out completely white with dust, though.
It's exactly what I'm getting to. I quite literally was full black. I come out of the crawl space after routing the snakes to the IO boxes in the stage, and I'm literally caked. Like the front part of me is just caked in white like dust,
You
and
became Feather Duster.
I literally became just dust. It was insane. Um, so you could say
You're
I
a
definitely
human,
had
not a
to.
bunny. How could you be a dust bunny?
I don't know how you come up with those so quickly, but that's great. So as far as I mean, I had to definitely clean that up. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of routing with snakes. We got a brand new soundboard input.
Hey, tell
It's a
them about
great
the wing.
model. Yeah, the Bear Ranger Wing. It's a, I believe, 32 channel. It's either 32 or
That's about
64.
right.
I'm not entirely sure because I'm blanking right now. I know I should know my own soundboard, but oh well. And the thing is with our lighting setup and all that stuff, we were manually having to run our Spotify, our lighting, our Pro Presenter, our soundboard in general, and I had to staff 3 to 4 people every week, and I was like, man, if I could just get, because in the other buildings we have a main system that runs it all.
Big
The
auditorium.
the main application software that they use is called QLab. It's a Mac exclusive for those of you who don't know about QLab. And basically, what it does is run a bunch of commands over network or MIDI, depending on the way you have it configured. And it can go hand in hand with a Stream Deck or any kind of like companion software. It's very useful. So even if you don't have
terms. Oops, sorry to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
To put it in simpler terms, it basically fires the cues for you, so you don't have to on any system on any computer.
Absolutely. And that's actually something I wanted to look into Linnix, was if I could get because I have 2 Windows machines, and I know Windows, I know, terrible. But I have a MacBook Air from 2017 that I wanted to see. Now, it runs really slow, of course, but I did want to see if I could remote in through QLab to control these computers. I haven't gotten to that yet, but that is something that I will be doing in the future. And if it does work, we'll be talking about it for sure.
You'll have to tell me about that later.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I believe I asked someone about that, and they said, yeah, that it was possible. So that's the main reason why I want to try it. So, but yeah, we revamped that entire auditorium. So brand new soundboard, brand new desk, routed a new snake and did all that. And yeah, I mean, it's great overall. So it revolutionized that building for our services. And then eventually, guess what? We got our QLab system put in there. And I got to build from scratch a QLab system, connections and all. Connections and all for our audio soundboard, our lighting, our Pro Presenter, even our Spotify. And all of that is made possible through BitFocus Companion, which is a software that goes directly with Stream Deck and all those things. And we'll cover more in depth what that means in future episodes, especially when we go into the why, the how, and the setup.
Yes, please, because not even I very much understand like how you've, like, I think it was just earlier today. How many cues did you program in QLab? I don't know how you did that.
Oh goodness. Let's see here. I think it was around 12 to 15. No. Well, I mean, if you're counting the subfolders, we have the main 8 to 10 cues, and then the subfolders, it's probably anywhere between 40 to 50 different commands. I mean, and that's just a simple event. But then again, I have, 8 different songs we're going back and forth between. I've got, 3 different on stages. I've got pre-service 5 minutes. I've got host. So there's a lot to program with that event in general. But because it's been over the process of a few weeks, and I do have next Monday, I'll be able to finish that up. I think it's just going to flow very well. And thanks to your help as well. You've helped me rig that.
Well, thank you. Yes.
I'm gonna steal a couple more minutes explaining my second favorite project, and then I'm gonna let you talk because I know I've been yapping for a long time.
And I
want to make sure you get your time to talk.
You're listening to JP Radio.
Exactly. It's all about me, guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Right. I'm just kidding. I would never. So my second favorite project of all time, I would say, I don't know. Honestly, I'm gonna let Linnix go, and I'm gonna think about it. Linnix, what would you say?
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your favorite projects, and just in general about yourself.
All right, I'll do so, but I'll have to get back to you about that second favorite project. I'm really curious.
Yes.
Anyway, so hi, I'm Linnix. Overall, I'm not very much of a tech nerd the way JP is, honestly. So
yes,
I still love to learn all of that. The only reason I've learned it is through JP, mostly.
I'm basically mentoring him
as much as I do.
I'm not gonna say I've taught you everything you know, but I am gonna say that I am trying to mentor you to grow in general, just with technology and programming and just understanding the why, the concepts, the how, because in general, just this will come in handy later in life skills. It really will come in handy.
It definitely will. That's
sorry,
for sure.
Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
Nah, that was completely accurate. But overall, yeah. Name's Linnix, and a little bit about myself. What the problem is, when people ask my hobby, I can never really give them a straight answer, mostly because I have way too many hobbies and things that I like to do. I'm a very creative person. If you haven't picked up already, JP, I'm a very creative person.
Yes, absolutely. This man over here designs lights for us every week, and I don't have a creative bone in my body, so I'm so grateful for that.
I've also got a funny bone. Go ahead, you can laugh. Okay.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm trying to keep my composure. No. Go ahead.
I'll break your composure eventually. Anyway.
Nope, not gonna happen. Not today.
Really, not today.
Okay,
not
maybe
counting
today.
The 6 other times today.
Okay.
That I got you laugh with the worst jokes.
Yes, this man has infinite amount of jokes, and you guys will definitely be hearing some dad jokes on this podcast. Believe it.
Oh, I've gotten them all stored. I got several terabytes just ready, bursting at the seams.
I think I sounded like Naruto. I went, believe it. You guys better believe it. Anyways, go ahead.
My actual job isn't to be part of the tech team. I'm only volunteering there, but I'm actually a lifeguard, believe it or not. And I'm a college student full time, going for a marine biology major, which creative person plus technology plus marine biology, you're like, this guy's everywhere. And yes, I can put on many different hats depending on the day, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Favorite project now.
Now this is going to be interesting because even I don't know this.
Honestly, I'd have to say it was the CSM Awards. Those,
really?
The movie, yes.
Really?
I loved what I was able to do with the lighting. Because that event alone was quite the project, I must say. But
yeah, absolutely.
What I was able to do with the lights, it just looked the gold contrasting with the dark.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gave it the perfect twinkle. Yes. Trying to find the right word.
I totally agree, because what you did was you had on the floor lights, the top lights, and just overall the floor bars, you had different intensities with all of them.
Yes, varying intensities because the backdrop overall, the main slide for the projectors, it was mainly black with gold accents of gold with gold
Yeah.
lettering and kind of like a chandelier style of
Yeah, definitely.
gold twinkle coming from the bottom of the screen. And I was trying to match that best as possible, and variable intensity was the best way to go. I gotta
Yeah, I
say.
mean, it was a bit of an odd one for an event, especially because we don't usually go for that style. Especially in the production field that we do, we usually go with a more worship style because, we're trying to cultivate, the Holy Spirit in the room and, just
Being a
guidance
church
in
and all,
people.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, especially with the CSM Awards, we had a pretty amazing time designing that because it gave us a little bit of freedom to kind of mess around, but at the same time we weren't going outside of the bar of what are we allowed to do, what are we not allowed to do. We stayed
Exactly.
within the what we were allowed to do.
5 minute
But
countdown, I think, pushed the limits a little on that.
now, see, the countdown was a personal request, and all I
Okay,
did was
true.
follow the request.
Mm.
So the concept of the countdown, and I've done this multiple different Wednesdays. Um, I have made custom countdowns like that before. I don't usually do it very often because I'm so busy. I'm either programming some event or designing lights for the next event, or I've got to, re-rig the entire studio or the entire floor because for some reason they're not going to be on the stage. For example, we're going
Yeah.
to be doing a worship in the round style, and it's gonna be fantastic. I mean, that event reminds me a lot of CSM, except CSM took me a day, 6 hours, 6.5 hours to program.
Yeah.
Linnix over here helped me with that, and he was doing the lights, which is fantastic. And I wouldn't have been
Awesome.
able to do it without him because there was a lot to put in. I had to build out a pro presenter, build out all these things, and
Endless
I
sound
think
effects.
I think just the concept of building out an entire event by yourself, learning the and understanding the why and the how is so crucial. It really is.
Absolutely.
Um, but that's interesting that you say that's your favorite project. I really love that. That actually makes me really happy because I've got a lot more like that coming. Believe me.
Ooh,
And
yes.
Linux over here doesn't know this, and he totally
Do
can't
I
hear me
not
right now.
know?
Totally can't hear me. But I'm going to be
I can hear you.
basically moving him off of lighting and putting him on programming. So,
I can hear you.
what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. You can't hear me.
I can hear you everywhere.
What in the world? Bro, you sound like a what are they called? Like a mix of a husk, like a zombie, but like a husk, like a
Ooh.
zombie effect. Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I do have my second favorite project. But I wanna before we move on, what are some of those hobbies that you mentioned? I should actually mention some of my
Oh,
own, which I will do when I get there.
yes, I'll ask you
I
after.
just I just completely forgot. But
By the way, I'm looking forward to learning programming, but honestly, it looks hard.
it's not. It's not. The programming
Okay.
I'm doing is not coding. It's more of a thought process. The
It's
actual
this after
difficult
this has to
part,
come after this kind of thing.
yeah. So
'Cause I've
it's
seen the
very
basics of QLab.
QLab is very basic programming. And just for our viewers, our technologists especially, I would
Yes.
suggest if there's anything you want to get into programming wise, get into QLab. It's Mac exclusive. So if you don't have a Mac, what you could do is you could download a virtual machine to run Macintosh, which would work. It might run a little bit slower, and you also would want a couple of other systems you could run this on. So, and if you guys have any opportunities, like you guys have a local church or you guys have any kind of opportunities production wise, I would definitely encourage you guys to get into that because it
Oh,
is very
absolutely.
valuable.
It is so much
Very
fun.
valuable. Um,
Programming the Stream Deck so you can just click one button and then
absolutely.
the entire room reacts is just it's amazing.
Mhm. Yeah. Even if you guys can't download QLab, if you guys get a Stream Deck and download the software BitFocus Companion. You can use or even just use the regular Stream Deck, Elgato Stream Deck software. You can do the same thing, just not as complicated as QLab. So I've messed around with some Stream Deck stuff, and I will say QLab and Companion is definitely superior. But Elgato Stream Deck is definitely something that works. It's very effective.
I'm detecting a little bit of bias here.
Maybe a little bit, but
A little bit, huh? Okay.
just a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a touch.
It's great. So what I wanted to get my point across is QLab is very simple programming. Do not think I am some crazy coder that can code like all these subscripts and variables in C+ and Java and all this stuff. While I have taken
20
a C+
computers
course,
at once.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not able to hack 20 computers at once, just on demand.
Not 20, but what's the number?
I'm not going to disclose that. But
what?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. But
don't worry.
I have done.
I'm going to lock up my PC.
Oh, that won't help. That won't help. Believe me. Anyways, because I've taken a C+ course, I do know a little bit of coding. I've also learned a little bit of SQL code, SQL. So I've dabbled a little bit in that, and I can confidently say QLab is nowhere near as difficult, and those are both pretty entry-level coding. I mean, they're very much so easy to just understand program-wise. Now, before we move on, once again...
Oh yeah, hobbies.
Hobbies.
How do we keep forgetting?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Mainly, like I said, I'm a very creative guy, so my hobbies revolve around... Huh?
Yep, creativity.
My hobbies revolve around art, music, like a lot around music.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your music, man.
Oh, so I've been working on FL Studio, working on making some digital music. I've already made 12 songs. I haven't released any of them yet.
12?
Hopefully I'll get around to doing that. Huh?
12, wow. That's really impressive.
Yeah, I haven't updated you on my latest music, haven't I?
No, I don't think you have. I mean, I know you've sent me probably like 8 or 10, I think, but it's very impressive. I've doubled with music myself, but I've never spent enough time to actually produce a song. I've only really messed around with the application and the software.
We will have to make an episode later on specifically digital music, because you and I
we
do
will.
it very differently.
Absolutely. We will. Go ahead.
You use a ton of samples, while I use a ton of patterns, and you piano roll in MIDI, so...
I use samples because I'm lazy and I don't know how to do it properly. To be fair, I need to learn, okay? Listen, I'm not... listen. I know samples are bad. I know.
No, they're not bad. Daft Punk got popular, and they're the kings of sampling.
That is true. You are absolutely right on that. But at the same time, I do want to understand how to use a DAW in general and generate my own custom sounds. I mean, I've dabbled with
that.
Oh, what's it called? I think it's called Citrus. Yeah, Citrus. I've dabbled on it with FL Studio, which stands for Fruity Loop Studio. It's a digital audio workspace, or DAW, for those of you who don't know what that means. And Citrus is a plugin that, simply put, can be used with presets. And I used to use presets, but I actually, at a point in time, learned how to make a complete dubstep sound from scratch using a sine wave. And I will say that did help with my audio board understanding, because in general, just understanding the way you can manipulate a sound wave, I mean, dude, that's priceless. It really is.
Absolutely. The manipulation of any wave can get you pretty much anywhere, because if you have any basic sine wave, no matter how you manipulate it, or actually, depending on however you manipulate it, you can get any sound.
Yeah, I mean, literally. There is limitations. There is. I mean, when talking about EQ in general, you can change the way something sounds immensely. However,
absolutely.
However, you can't change the How do I put this? You can't change the sound itself. you can change the way it sounds, but you can't change the bass which you are given. If you're
Yes.
boosting the low end frequency, but there's no low end to begin with because it's all high pitched frequency, like generated from like a computer, for example, then you're not going
Yes.
to be able to make that sound bass heavy because, simply put, there's no sound coming in that frequency range.
With any wave, though, however, I have some plugins in FL where you can basically manipulate the wave directly.
Ooh,
Like click and drag. You can make a sine wave into a saw wave and whatnot. It's pretty
love
cool.
that. Yeah, I love that. All right, so any other hobbies off the top of your mind? Off the top of your head? I can speak English, guys. I swear.
Yes, you can very well. But I'd have to say, next to music, my next hobby is probably like art, like drawing, sketching, stuff like that. I've gotten pretty good over the years.
Absolutely.
And
So you're gonna be drawing up some plans for me, because I could absolutely have you draw up a plan for me.
What kind of plan?
So
Like an chrono plan?
A what now? I've never even heard of that.
What? You've never heard of the chrono plan?
No.
Okay, so weird Soviets took weird design based off Pelican. They made plane that skims over the water at very high efficiency. It's really cool.
I have no idea what any of that means. We're gonna move on. All right.
Okay. You should look it up
basically-
sometime, though.
Yeah, no, I will definitely. Just remind me after the podcast, and I'll check it out. The plan that I was referring to is just as a joke. For those of you who don't know, for our event, basically we are taking our equipment and bringing it off of our platform and putting it in the center of the room.
Oh, that's what you meant.
And so I was gonna have you draw a bunch of like mics and guitars and pianos and stuff in an amazing drawing, just so I could send it to a couple people to basically impress them and make them think I'm an artist, even though I'm not.
You want to impress our supervisor, don't you?
Yes. But of course, before I say anything, I have to preface this with, I would give credit, because I'm not one of those people. Credit to that would go to Linnix.
Well, thank you. You very much.
All right. So other than art, music, digital audio workspaces, DAWs and stuff, anything else? I mean,
Physical
those are some
music.
physical music.
I like to
There we go.
collect strange instruments. So basically, like up in my closet, I have, 6 instruments. Some of them you may not have even heard of. Like,
Absolutely.
Of course, there's the classic ocarina. Most people who know what that is probably know it from Legends of Zelda, which
Yes.
I didn't actually know it was from Legends of Zelda until I had one. It was weird. I'm like, oh, is that the thing from that game? And I'm like, no, it's just an ancient instrument.
That game, dude. That game was like my childhood.
Thanks to my older brother, my
Legend of
entire
Zelda
childhood was
Ocarina
just
of
Star Wars
Time,
Lego
dude.
3.
Dude. Yeah, no, I love that. I really do. That's great. I remember this guy used to bring an instrument into every single class. For those of you who don't know, we went to high school. What was it? 1 year together. And that's where we actually met, was in high school, which is awesome, because, God willing, and we've stayed connected over the years, and we've just interacted, and now he's volunteering and helping me out, and now we started our podcast. So yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing.
He would bring an instrument everywhere, and at a moment's notice, you could be like, play this, and he would just whip it out of his pocket and try and play it. And it was awesome. It really was.
Give me 10 minutes and I'll have the basic tune.
I remember one time you had never heard of it, and I just kind of like hummed it out for you, and you like ended up being able to play it. And then the teacher looked at you and went, "Put it away." I was like dying laughing, because you had the most defeated face, and it's like you didn't even do anything wrong. It was so funny. Oh my goodness, that was crazy.
Funny story. Originally, I had a 3D printed ocarina that my older brother 3D printed for me.
I remember that.
It was from a resin printer, and gosh, it was perfectly tuned. I don't know how it happened, but After that, fell down the bleachers at the water park I work at because I'm a lifeguard.
Ooh, no,
Yeah,
that's sad.
it broke in half, which
No.
amazingly didn't shatter. I actually glued it back together and gave it to my younger brother, though I don't think he'll ever play it. I
Oh, that's
got a
awesome.
ceramic one, which is actually modeled after the Ocarina of Time. But I also have a kalimba, the pan flute, a happy drum, also known as a steel tongue drum, not to be confused with the tropical steel drums. And what else is there? Oh yeah, I have like a little wooden kit that I can assemble, like the smallest ocarina you've ever seen. It's so weird.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You know what
Yeah.
you should get? You should get a pan flute. The ones that go in water. Those ones are really cool.
It's like going
I might get that for you for your birthday, something like that, or a Christmas
We're
present.
talking. Then I'd have to get something for you for your
No, no, you don't.
speak.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah,
No, you don't. Listen,
gotta break even
no, you
somehow.
don't. No, you do not. You're breaking even right now just being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, but I do have a pan flute, though it's kind of out of tune because it's literally just made of bamboo and rope.
Oh wow.
I'll have to send you a picture of it. But on top of that, I play piano. I've been playing piano since I could literally walk up to the piano.
That's crazy.
That's probably how I learned to play by ear.
You're gonna have to show me some tunes sometimes.
I can play my Castletown from Undertale for you.
Awesome.
Sorry, Deltarune.
Deltarune. Yep. I remember that game. That was a good game.
Yeah.
All right.
An absolute classic.
Let's go ahead and
what
move
about your
on.
hobbies?
I have okay. All right. So, favorite project or hobbies first? Because I have my second favorite project, and I also have the hobbies.
Ooh, let's go seven. What? A 7? Second favorite project.
7? Whoa, buddy! I can't come up with 7 that fast. Okay.
No,
I don't even.
misspoke.
Hold on.
I speak English too, just
I
as
don't
well as you do.
I don't even think I can. I have done 7 projects. Okay, so second favorite project. Do not laugh. My second favorite project was setting up and rigging this podcast.
Oh, you said not to laugh. Sorry.
It's the most NPC laugh pot. You know, you reminded me of that meme.
Oh yeah. I know exactly.
That's what you reminded me of, bro. You reminded me. I'll have to put that clip in there. That's funny. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what that reminds me of. Yeah. So my second favorite project, I would say, is definitely setting up this podcast. It actually was a lot of logistics. You guys would not believe how complicated this can get. I mean, and we're not even doing a video podcast. Like we don't have cameras right now. It's simply audio. Now, of course, there's going to be a visual representation. You know, we're going to have our Rumble and YouTube set up, and we're gonna upload some content. But I mean, just overall, as a project in general, this has been a lot of fun, and I feel that since I've been doing production for probably almost 2 years now, I feel like I have so much to give, and I feel like just in general, as someone starting out with production, if I had something like this or some kind of online source that was easy, that just kind of covered it all in general, I feel like I'd be able to grow so much faster. I really do. All right, hobbies.
Absolutely.
So I have a few hobbies. I'm a little bit of a typical guy. I love working out, anything working out, lifting weights, going to the gym, jogging, swimming, just anything in general. Calisthenics is fun. Climbing trees I love, but I'm allergic to every tree on this planet, which is really sad because I love climbing trees, but if I'm not wearing gloves or I end up like scratching myself or like getting injured in any sort of way, I have to like...
It'll swell to high heaven.
Yeah, pretty much. I basically just have to wash off, but other than that, it's not too bad. So I will climb trees here and there, which is awesome because in my place we have some really tall trees. I've actually climbed really high, and I've thought to myself, man, I really don't want to find out what happens if I fall.
Oh yeah, I've done that myself, and ended up falling before too.
You what?
What?
Oh, you're gonna have to tell me about that sometime in the
Have I never
future.
told you the time I fell out of a tree?
No,
I was like a story up.
that's crazy. Anyways, so there's that. I love anything. I love anything fitness related. I'm really an active person in general. I've done many sports. I've done jujitsu. I've done Krav. I've done golfing. I've done fencing. I do all kinds of random things just because. Sailing
Like
is. Go ahead.
literally, this guy's physique, like this JP's like overall appearance and physique really goes to show for how active he actually is, though. Like no cap.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try my best to maintain a decent physique. And
Legitimate Giga Chad.
thank you. Believe me, you are a Sigma yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You guys can't see this, but he's making the Sigma face, which is hilarious to see. um, so yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted to say is one of the things I've learned, and I've prayed about this a few times, is I used to I still kind of do, but I used to suffer a lot from. I think a lot of men do when you get into fitness. You get a certain amount of gains, and then you stop gaining. You kind of just plateau. You get really unhappy with where you're at, and you start thinking, "Man, I'm just not making progress." And I've heard from a lot of people that real purpose comes, especially with men, real purpose usually comes from making progress, whether that's in your faith, in your projects, in your work. I think it's just because men in general are task oriented, and I really did have that. But as I prayed over this and learned about it, I eventually learned you know I have an overall pretty okay physique. It's not perfect, it's not super impressive,
Are you
but at the
okay?
same time, I'm perfectly okay with that. And so, I stay working out, I stay active, and I really do love it. So yeah, that's one hobby, fitness. Let's see. I do like instruments myself, but I'm not quite as an avid user as Linux over here. Um, I have done drums, I've done piano, I've
Yeah, you are
done
pretty good at drums.
I've done a little bit of guitar. I'm really not good with drums compared to not good enough to perform at all. However, I am better than somebody starting out for about a week. After a week, you're better than me. um, so hobbies, I will definitely say Beat Saber. I have a VR headset console just for Beat Saber and nothing else.
Quite
I'm a little bit
literally,
of
I can attest to this.
Yes. I have brought Linnix over to play some Beat Saber, and he will attest I am a little bit of a sweat
I've
when it
only
comes
ever
to
been
that
able to
game.
complete one expert level. This guy goes expert plus every time.
Yeah, not only that, I have a modded version of the game. So the hardest star rating I've beaten is a 10.02 star, which is very fun in general. But and that
Quite the
level, for those
workout.
of you who don't know, it's called Exitium, Exitium, on Beat Saber. If you guys want to check that out sometime, or if for whatever reason you want to see that. Um, but moving on
Okay,
from
if you
Beat
want to torture
Saber,
yourself with something that flies at you way too fast.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's a workout in and of itself. It really is. I
Yeah.
have some strong shoulders now because of that. So yeah, fitness, Beat Saber, some musical instruments. I've got to say, I'm a big tech nerd. I kind of am. I mean, I didn't used to be as big of a tech nerd, but I was definitely a tech nerd from when I was younger as well because I messed around with Premiere Pro since I was younger. I've done all kinds of recording. I mean, I've ever since I can remember, I was a big tech nerd, and I've always loved it. Um, as far as hobbies, those are the ones that come off the top of my head. I don't really have any others on demand. I mean, Linux, can you think
I've
of
been
any
teaching
others?
you how to draw.
Well, yeah. So there is art
I don't
as
know if
well.
that'd be
I've
a
been.
hobby though.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a hobby. I do that sometimes in my free time. Oh, writing poems has been a hobby of mine recently. It's
You
a good
write
way to.
poetry too?
Yeah, I have. I've written a lot of. I'll have to send them to you. I've written like 5 pages worth of poems already,
Oh,
and that was just from like one day. Uh, it's a
just
good way
one.
to get your thoughts out and to just vent in general. I feel.
Same.
Um. All right, so
I've written a sea shanty once.
really a sea
Yeah.
shanty. All right, all right. Well, hey, before I forget, today's verse is 2 Timothy 2:15. And Linnix, do you want to read that or do you want me to read it?
Sure, I'll read that.
All right, go ahead.
So, 2 Timothy 2:15, not 16. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly handles the word of truth.
I love it. And I really do find some value in that verse, especially today, because, you know, listen to the phrasing, a worker who does not need to be ashamed and who handles correctly the word of truth. I really vibe with that, honestly, because
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, just working in general, when you are presenting something to someone, especially in a production, we're not looking to be egoistic. We're really not. We're not even really looking for recognition. We're the guys in the back of the booth who shouldn't ever be recognized unless called out directly.
That's why we wear black shirts with the logo.
Exactly. And that's why I really like this verse, because we don't need to be ashamed, but we also need to handle the truth of what we are doing directly affects people, directly affects the environment. And so
The entire congregation.
Exactly. Taking accountability for that is a very, very important thing.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to do a quick little game, and we're kind of running low on time left for the episode.
That's all right.
Steadily going to. We've got a lot of content to cover, believe me.
I still got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to do a quick little game. I know, games.
All right.
What are we, children? No. It's a little game / icebreaker, and it's about life quotes, that being life models. I wanted to take it one step further, and when talking about life in general and your approach to interactions, what is your go-to life model? And if you need a little bit of time to come up with yours, I can go first. Matter of fact, I will go first, just because.
Yeah, please do go first.
Mine is going to be failing forward. Now, I'm going to explain that a little bit. Failing forward does not mean I don't fail. Failing forward is when I fail, and it's not quite literally failing. It's almost like stoicism, but not. Stoicism is when you take a situation and just accept it based on it is and don't let it affect you. Well, it's almost adopting from that. Failing forward is when you mess up or when you make a mistake or when something doesn't go perfectly. And that's the key word, is perfectly. You take your experience and you bring it one step further so you're that much better in the future. It's almost like working out. You know, you lift weights, you get a record of 8. Well, do that same record, but do it that much better, with better form, with more, reps, with better sets, and overall just build yourself up. So I feel like in general, failing forward is important because, I especially have made plenty of mistakes, whether it's pushing the wrong button at the wrong time or not going to bed on time. For those of you who are terrible with your sleep schedule, I know who you are, because I'm one too.
Quiet. Shh. You didn't know that.
Listen. It happens to everybody, but it's important. Failing forward, having that mindset of no matter what happens, I'm gonna fail forward. Everything's gonna be okay. I've got God here to back me. It's
absolutely true.
Gonna work out.
Keep moving forward no matter what.
Exactly, and that's the main concept of failing forward. Those are a couple of things I want to give to you guys, our viewers, our technologists. Just hold on to that. That no matter where you are, that can help you out. So, Linnix, what do you think? Do you have anything?
Honestly, I do have a little bit of. I have something to say real quick about your quote. Failing forward.
Yeah,
you
go
mentioned
ahead.
stoicism, and
Yes.
I have a personal account of. It was during high school where I'm going to be honest here. I took that a little bit too far, where I kind of just accepted the environment around me. And
yeah, and that's the issue
too
with
far
it.
is I started to let stuff go. So failing forward, which is a very good quote, and it's not just accepting stuff like you said, but taking it to improve upon it. And that's something,
absolutely,
honestly, a few years ago, I wish I had known it sooner, because I let my mental health go. I let a lot of stuff go. And frankly, those weren't the best years of my life, I gotta say. They're past and I'm much better, but I wish I had known that quote sooner.
Yeah,
It's a really
absolutely.
good one though. I can imagine it applying to so much.
Yeah, that's the main reason why me in particular, I have made sure because I used to be a huge fan of stoicism, and it's not because, all these stoicism videos and all this stuff. I knew about stoicism, and I still am kind of a little bit of a serious person.
Of course.
I take things very seriously, but at the same time, I'm always looking to improve. So I wanted to adapt almost concept of stoicism, but mold it into the image of like what God would want. What would Jesus do type thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. If you don't have a motto or you need more time, that's perfectly fine.
I actually do.
Beautiful. All right, let's hear it.
So this was towards the beginning of when I started college trying to get this marine biology major. And it kind of just clicked in my brain how much how much we as human limit ourselves. And I actually had written it down a little while ago. And the quote I wrote was, faith includes our abilities without limitations, while science includes our limits without faith. And this really steps into the factor that if you're really into science, like I am, you can often end up limiting yourself beyond what you should. You think, oh, that's not possible. Oh, I can't do that. But then you have to realize I'm limiting myself to my own knowledge.
Absolutely.
I have to believe that a greater force, particularly God, can take me through this. And that's when I came with this quote. It was something that it was kind of a revelation to me. And it's applied to so many things in life, particularly to the fields of science, I've realized.
I love that. Real quickly, tell us about what got you into marine biology. Why marine biology in specific? What was the thought process behind that?
So, aside from the game Subnautica, living near the beach has been really fun. And it was during the pandemic I developed some minor thalassophobia, which is kind of ironic. I'm going for a marine biology major. Yeah, I was definitely terrified of any murky water. But I've started to kind of get like rationalize that. Though it still is like, especially the intercoastal is very unnerving to me. Yeah. But after going to that massive aquarium in Epcot, in Disney World, I saw how massive the fish tanks were, and I saw a diver in the midst of that massive fish tank, and I said, I want to be that guy. I want to work with the fish in a safe, contained environment. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I was like, I want to work with the cool fishies in the big fishy tank, being diver man behind the glass. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
To put it simply, that's how I got myself where I am today.
That's awesome.
Marine biology is a really fun major. It's not just a field of science. It really, particularly with the ocean, which is what I enjoy, it really dives in. It really dives into all the possibilities of the world unknown. We know more about space than we do our oceans, and it's just so amazing to me.
You could really say, it's a submerged approach.
It's a really immersive field, I gotta say.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I don't think I mentioned this. I am majoring in IT and cybersecurity. So just a quick little thing. The reason behind that, I don't really think I need to explain the reasoning behind tech nerd, always tech nerd, loves computers, decided to go for IT cybersecurity. Pretty simple.
Really does.
Pretty basic.
Really does put the knowledge in technology, I gotta say.
I love it. I love it. And hey, we want you guys, our technologists, to be apologists of technologies. If you guys don't know what an apologist is, look up apologetics. It is amazing, and that will help you as well.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
all right, so great life mottos. I love that in general. So now we're going to talk probably for a short while. I don't know how long, but we'll see where the conversation goes. Let's cover the why behind production. We've already covered, the effect on the congregation and stuff, but why do we care? Why would something so small matter, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say there is a light, right? We have four performers on stage, and one of the lights is not highlighted, not illuminated. Why does that matter?
Well,
And we want to obviously cover audio, video, lighting, setup, and broadcast, but for now we're covering just lighting, just in this example in specific. Go ahead.
I gotta say, for lighting, as I've noticed, if you have people on stage and one of those lights might not be working, you might have somebody in the dark, and that would honestly, it would give off an awkward vibe. Of course, there are people that would do that intentionally to. Of course, there's always the subliminal
Wait a
messaging
minute.
you can
I'm
put
sorry.
behind lighting.
I'm sorry. I have to cut you off. If a light's not working, it might turn off. If a light's turned off, it might not be on. Is that what you say?
I don't remember.
Okay. I don't want to make fun of you, but at the same time, I had to make
If I'm
that
not
quick.
making sense, yes, please do stop me.
No. I just think it's funny because you went into this saying, if a light's not on, it might be off.
Oh,
And
yes,
I
I'm
just thought
Captain
to
Obvious.
myself, I just thought to myself, I was like, that's true. That's
Okay.
true, but that's really funny. Okay, go ahead.
What I
Sorry.
meant to say was, if the light's not working,
Well,
not that it's not working, but if it's not on,
yeah, there you go.
you might have somebody like left in the dark, like let's say a singer, and honestly, it just wouldn't look right. Like people who aren't tech savvy in lighting and stuff might not notice it, but it would feel off. And as I like to say, it's the little things that make a subtle difference that can do big things. It's like
Absolutely.
the quote, the little things in life count. The same applies to production, where the little things in production go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things I want to say about that is, and correct me if I'm wrong, talking about specifically a light being out. Think about a person on say it's on stage right. Think about a person on that side of the stage. Their singer is directly not illuminated, and it's supposed to be a moment where the band is all in. It's a hype moment. Instruments should be playing, everything is going,
Crescendo.
but they're completely dark. And you're going, even if you're not in production, you're going, where's the energy? What?
Yes.
They get a little confused, and that's a distraction. So one of the points I want to bring across is, why do we care? Well, especially in the field of production, our goal, regardless of where you're doing production, is to create a distraction-free environment. If I started putting up a bunch of random floating images and emojis while this podcast is running, I think you guys would be a little confused. And if for whatever reason my microphone was turned off or not working, you would think, man, these guys are unprofessional. So it really comes to that. And just in general, when thinking about production, whether it's audio, making sure a microphone is on. We'll cover that in the future, how to make sure and validate microphones are on. And if you have, someone on a center platform and you need to tell them to turn their mic on, what the protocol for that might be. Visuals, verifying that everything is set properly is so crucial. I mean, I run through everything I program at least 2 to 3 times before the event happens. And then on the day of, I test it again. And the reason for that is because ATD. And for what that means is attention to detail. Linnix has heard that term a lot.
Yes.
Because of
Way
where we are. Yeah. So ATD is brought up a lot. But mainly in audio, video, and lighting. Now, setup is an interesting topic because I'm dealing a lot with setup this next week upcoming because we're going to be rigging off of the platform. We're going to put it in the center of the room. We're doing a worship in the round style. And what that's going to need is we're going to need an audio snake. And what that's going to do is allow us to bring in all these instruments in the center of the room: a piano, a cajon, a guitar, 4 vocalists. And we're going to be able to have that all routed into our board. And it's going to be a big setup. But we have.
It's going to be beautiful.
Exactly. It's going to be great. And we have a plan. We've thought of it because setup isn't just, well, I've got all these cables and I need this, so can you go grab that for me? And it's just a mess put together. Well, setup's a lot more from that. We have a lot of planning that goes into it. And why do we care? Well, once again, number one, time and efficiency is important. And just in general, setup is crucial. Broadcast is pretty much self-explanatory. We'll cover that in future topics. But yeah, just the concept of production. So in general, I would say we have covered a pretty wide variety. I'd say we're doing a pretty good job. So as we wrap up, are there any closing statements you can think of? Anything that we want to leave them with? And like, what might our next episode be on? Do we want to cover audio first, or do we want to, for example, cover, how would you go from basic setup? So we have a few options here. We could either, and also weigh in, viewers, at any point in time. We'll be looking at comments, any kind of anything. We could either
please
give explanations from.
Like and subscribe, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow us on our platforms. Once again, we could either cover audio from a basic concept of, what is audio? How does it work? What are sound waves? What are frequencies? Things like that. Or we could cover a basic setup. What is the physical part, hardware-wise, right? Like microphones. How do they work? We want to cover not only the how, the why, but we also want to explain how you would go about rigging something like that, because with experience of doing that ourselves and just the process of figuring it out, I feel like it could be very valuable to anybody, from just setting up a gaming or a streaming setup in general. This could be very valuable to you, because knowing what softwares to use, knowing how to use them, and knowing what is happening, like when you change a setting. One of the most frustrating things for me specifically is when I change a setting and I'm just dragging a slider. I'm going, I don't know what to do. I'm just trying. I don't know. And I do that all the time. And that's kind of how I figure it out. But if I had someone or a podcast to listen to, wink, wink, the kind of my boss, the guy I go to ask questions to, it makes it so much easier to learn because you have somebody that already knows and can explain it in simpler terms. And then when you go to it and you kind of learn it, it makes so much more sense. And then you can understand the why. And then on top of that, I've switched those. You can understand the how, so you can then produce your why.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing, JP said, please do weigh in. Give us comments, topics, heck, even questions, anything you might have, you might want us to answer. And heck, in the future, if we get up there and enough questions, we might make a Q&A episode.
Yeah, Q&A. That would be
that, JP?
Absolutely. A Q&A would be great, especially when talking about, specific instances, because while we can try to, give an in-depth explanation of something, we can only tailor it so much, because overall production in general is such a broad topic with so many different, just different niches in general.
Like that time I forgot to turn on the in-ear mic systems underneath the desk.
We will have to cover in-ear monitors, because forgetting like you said forgetting to turn on in-ear monitors might be an issue.
Literally everybody for the power up forgets to turn those on, and I've been turning them on and off ever since I knew they were there. But
no, you are the only person in that position, Linnix, that I have had that actually remembers to turn it on off. And that's saying something. Because I've had some people in there for a long time.
I remember one time it was on a Monday when we looked over to work on QLab in the kids auditorium, and I saw it left on.
Yep. I'm still working on that. I haven't had much time to get to that, but I definitely want to get to that. Well, hey, as we're wrapping up, we want to say a couple final remarks. Thank you for tuning into our first episode. If you are a new viewer or if you're exposed to this, please like, comment, share, anything. Follow us on all of our platforms: Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, because we're just starting out. And hey, if you found anything valuable about this, I really hope you did, because we had a lot of fun recording this. Would you say
absolutely.
You had fun, Linnix?
Absolutely. I enjoyed this a lot, and I look forward to more.
We'll have to add a comedy section where we're just trying to make each other laugh eventually. But in the future,
I'd win.
You would win, because you have more of a funny bone than me. Absolutely. But yeah, as we're wrapping up, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. This has been a great first podcast episode. And hey, next time we're going to cover some more in-depth about production. It's going to be more production focused. We're going to have more content. We're going to get right into it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Linnix, any final remarks?
Don't be like me and leave the secondary singers mic muted while they're singing. It's embarrassing.
Right. If you're ever working a soundboard, watch what you're leaving muted and on muting.
Yeah. And as JP said, like, subscribe, leave us a comment, and and hey, we might answer your questions in a future episode. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Alrighty, this has been TechKnowledgy Podcast. Thank you, our technologists, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of TechKnowledgy. See you later, guys.